Good afternoon and welcome live. Wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year here during Christmas week. It's time for the final day here of our tournament, the Jack Riley Holiday Tournament here at East Gymnasium at Fort Lee High School here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. It's a battle for 7th place as the home team, the Fort Lee Bridgemen, at 2-2 on the season. They take on the Memorial Tigers, still looking for their first win. They are 0-6. Hi everybody and welcome. Ralph Bednarczyk on hand, and both teams feeling like they probably left a game or two on the table ahead of this one as the battle for 7th place is on. The first of 4 games coming up. And once again, welcome back here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. Ralph Bednarczyk on hand, bringing you the 7th place game, first of 4 that will go all the way through the afternoon. Fort Lee at 2-2, taking on the Memorial Tigers from Hudson County at 0-6, 0-3 out of the Hudson County Athletic League American Division, the top division out of the 2 in the HCIL. Let's give you the starters. First for Memorial, and the lineup for second-year head coach Mark Schroback will look like this. As his point guard is Sean Isidro. Isidro is a senior, joined by Lennox Rodriguez, Eric Tirado, Josue Schween, and sophomore Anthony Lopez making his first career start. And for the Bridgemen, John Avazoglu, Jake Ehrlich, Motassim Al-Hajayi is the center, Mark Elia, and Jacob Greenberg for Fort Lee. Fort Lee started off 2-0 with a pair of wins, now looking to salvage something on their home floor today, as there's a knockdown 3 from Lennox Rodriguez to start the scoring. Rodriguez is their shooting guard, and for a team that has been looking to finish out games, that's a good start for the Memorial Tigers. At 0-6, but they've had 2 leads going into the 4th quarter, only unable to finish. They start off in their familiar 2-3 zone look as John Avazoglu is off on the 3. And it'll be exclusively zone for Memorial. Meanwhile, for Fort Lee, only 7 players dressed for second-year coach Josh Ford. It's a smaller roster this year. He graduated 5 of his top 9, or lost 5 of his top 9 from a year ago. As there's the strip by Mark Elia. And the outlet for John Avazoglu all the way to the basket, but he cannot convert in transition. And Memorial is on it. Meanwhile, for the Tigers at 0-6, last year, 10-14, 4-9 in the Hudson County American Division, the better division that has, it is a relegation system in Hudson County, as a 3 is off from Eric Tirado. And in the top division, you have state powers, Hudson Catholic and St. Peter's Prep to deal with on an annual basis. Ilya, capable shooter from the outside, but playing more of an inside position for the Bridgemen. There's the floater, and the shot is rejected by Sean Isidro. Nice block by Isidro. Then on the push, a foul. It'll count for Eric Tirado. And the foul is on Fort Lee's Motassim Al-Hajayi. So Tirado, the free throw line, he's a 2-year starter, and with pretty good length. Tigers don't have maybe a natural post on the roster until the start of Anthony Lopez, just a sophomore, however, as we have a lane violation going against Memorial. So that wipes out the opportunity for the three-point play for the Tigers. For second-year coach Mark Stroback, a Hasbrook Heights graduate. He went on to play at Division III William Patterson. He comes from a huge basketball family, an athletic family at that. Not just basketball, as I'll detail as we go in our broadcast today. Ehrlich against the zone. So we'll see how Fort Lee will execute things. Good skip pass, feet set, and the missed three by Ehrlich, and the good box out underneath by Memorial and Tirado. Memorial does seem to have guards that can rebound well, and they're going to need to. Jrht will be considered a big forward. Schween gives it up. Josue Schween is the lone AAU dedicated player on this team, as there is Lopez off the missed three by Tirado, able to secure. Then the missed three by Lennox Rodriguez. Remember, no shot clock in the state of New Jersey. Everybody will say, as of yet, but we've been saying that for a couple decades now. Ilya got inside, and Mark Ilya will draw the whistle, and we'll go to the free throw line with Fort Lee still looking for their first points. And the foul is on Sean Jrht, picking up number one here for Mark Ilya. So for the Bridgemen, two promising road wins at Paramus and Bergenfield. We'll see Bergenfield coming up in our next game before an 18-point loss against Bergen Tech on the 23rd before Christmas. Then this past Sunday against Passaic, as Ilya gets one of two. And it's 5-1, 63-37, where Fort Lee turned it over too many times against the pressure of Passaic, who played very, very hard and wore down the Bridgemen. And Fort Lee this year, while there is talent here, it's a very small margin for error. There's Lopez on that look as it rimmed off, and on the push now for the Bridgemen. Jake Ehrlich looks opposite, good extra, Evazoglu, and that was halfway down. So Fort Lee still looking for their first field goal, 3.5 minutes in against the Memorial Tiger zone. Schween, that's not there. Offensive rebound, Lopez could not finish. And Ilya could not save it. And it's going to remain here with the Memorial Tigers. Memorial 2 years ago had a huge year under then head coach Steve Leone. They went 19-8, 10-4 in the top division in the HCIAL American Division, dealing with St. Peter's and Hudson Catholic. They went to the Hudson County Tournament semifinals, losing to St. Peter's, then lost in the North 1 Group 4 semifinals. As the 4 seed, they lost at number 1 seeded Ridgewood. In a big year, Steve Leone was named Hudson County Coach of the Year, or at least in the division, Coach of the Year. Getting the baseline, Lennox Rodriguez tried to knife through it. Good job walling off there by Jacob Greenberg, but then it's turned over on the next pass, but missing the three is Tirado, and we'll get a foul on Memorial. And picking up a frustration foul is Eric Tirado. Steve Leone was the American Division Coach of the Year. A big honor with, of course, Hudson Catholic and St. Peter's usually dominating the awards. Off the takeaway, Schween, beautiful extra pass, but missing the layup is Lennox Rodriguez. Well, Memorial here is going to lament, as this game goes on, that they are not up by many more points. Just a 5-1 game still as they play a true road game. And the battle for 7th place for the annual Jack Riley Holiday Tournament at Fort Lee High School. Now some four-court pickup, and the three, Evazoglu, that just grazes the rim. And Lopez on the weak side board for Memorial. Feet set, Eric Tirado. And Schween will come up with the miss. Schween barely got the screen. Rodriguez, good throwback. Schween, his feet not fully set, and he misses the three. And we'll see Fort Lee go to the bench for the first time, as Abdullah Saidi will come in. Again, the Bridgemen not deep this year, but a very physical and strong player that usually picks up defensive assignments. Varsity football player. Saidi, he'll give it up, and the three is knocked down. Motassim Al-Hajayi. He'll play the center spot, but it is a Fort Lee team that pretty much all 5 players on the floor can step out and shoot it. First made field goal for the Bridgemen, coming 5.5 minutes in. That allowed Josh Ford to set up his full court pressure. That is handled beautifully by Memorial. Schween, and Schween, excellent defending again by Jacob Greenberg. And it's going to remain here with the Memorial Tigers. Tigers offensively, and for Mark Stroback, just begging for more movement. And we'll be keeping an eye on that. Looks okay here, but how will that transpire over 4 quarters, particularly in a close game? That is what has buried Memorial. Too much standing around. And that is a constant complaint from most modern coaches. Fortunately for players in New Jersey with no shot clock, you can remain very patient. As a missed 3 there by Manuel Almanzar, who just checked in. And we have a loose ball foul against Lopez of Memorial. So that's 3 team fouls here. Memorial continues to show a 1-2-2. And Elia now on the backside, and Elia turns it over. That's a good job by Manuel Almanzar, who's not starting today for the first time, in lieu of Anthony Lopez making his first career start. But a very good hustle player. And the Tigers hope that the 6'2"-ish Anthony Lopez can blossom as soon as possible. That would change the course of their season. Final minute, first quarter. Battle for 7th place here at Fort Lee High School. Ralph Bjornchik on hand and their entire crew. Lennox Rodriguez, that's a deeper 3. Second 3 for Rodriguez. With a good contest as well. Now we'll see if Fort Lee might hold for the final shot. They won't, and the shot rejected. That's Tirado that got over and closed the door, slammed it shut on Jake Ehrlich. Greenberg in for Al-Hajayi. And Greenberg able to get himself into position and will get a foul. This is going to be over the back against Fort Lee's Mark Ilya. So with 19.7, and a chance for Memorial to close out a strong quarter. Schween with 2 seconds to go. Schween has to force it up and made it. Josue Schween with his first field goal. And Memorial with a pair of 3s from Rodriguez, and then that long basket with a 10-4 lead at the end of 1 in the battle for 7th place. Once again, the Jack Riley Annual Holiday Tournament is being sponsored and brought to you by Senator Builders, the Fort Lee Education Association. It's Greek to Me Restaurant, Connect One Bank, Cariello Barber and Viola, and the VFW Post locally, Russin and Doro Electric, Fort Lee basketball camps, UCS Strength and Speed, Visions Federal Credit Union, the Bergen Black Sox Baseball Organization, the Fort Lee Soccer Club, William T. Birch Children's Fund, nearby Cafasos Fairway Market, the Collective Salon, and the Finest Construction. Thank you all for help bring this broadcast to you. 10-4 at the end of one quarter. We'll take a brief pause here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. Underway in the second period. 2-3 zone has remained and has been the base defense for Memorial. And so far, Fort Lee's only been able to knock in one field goal. And I will see what the adjustment can be made. There's Elia diving to the rim, but cannot convert. Great pass by Evazoglu. Then Elia misses the second. Last touch by Memorial. Inbound comes right-hand jump hook by Al-Hajayi, and Fort Lee misses three great looks at the basket. Schween, outside feet set for three. That's Eric Torado. His second field goal, and he has 5. Elia then gets it outside over the top. And then stuck there was Evazoglu, and that's a turnover. In transition, offensive foul against Memorial. And that'll be Eric Torado picking up number 2. As Elia's pass is deflected, Evazoglu is able to come up with it. And a 3 for Fort Lee. So 13-7. And the Bridgemen with just their second field goal. Well, Memorial has handled the Fort Lee press pretty well. Andrew Gegich-Corey on the floor for the first time. 5'10 junior, also a football player. He's guarding outside now. And Fort Lee remains in a man-to-man. Josue Schween gave it up. Almanzar got a wide open look, and that's the shot that if Memorial is able to make a decent percentage on, they're going to be a solid team. As the pull-up is off from Saidi. Torado has already knocked out a couple long jumpers. Offensive rebound, that's airballed. The follow-up will go for Lopez. So Anthony Lopez able to put in his first basket. And making his first start, and if the stats are accurate, just 6 total points so far for Lopez in his first year on the varsity as we get a hold called against Torado, and that is going to be the 3rd on Eric Torado. Memorial, while they have a larger roster, does not have much depth in terms of established players. So in comes junior Christian Rojas, and he would be the 7th man for Mark Stroback for the Tigers. And that's another element that he is hoping to grow and hopes that takes off and ascends. Elia got his own miss, and there's still a lid on the basket against Fort Lee. So Mark Elia will make another trip to the free throw line at 15-7 Memorial. Here on Sunday, Memorial hung around just enough against Wayne Valley before losing 55-44 as Elia makes the first. Saidi up for it, and it'll be brought down in traffic by Isidro. And Hoshui Schween got position, is able to find Isidro. And Sean Isidro will get himself free throws. And the Fort Lee foul is on Mark Elia, and that is his second. First points for Sean Isidro. It's a Memorial team that came into the year off of that 10-14. And on paper, as offensive rebound pulled in by Rojas, and then Rojas is fouled in the act. And the foul's on Jacob Greenberg, picking up number 1. As Memorial was excited about going to the next level this year. However, just as it is at the college level, players transferring out really hurting programs and kind of having the rug pulled out from them. Memorial had returning junior Byron Vanterpool exit. He transferred to nearby Union City, and he was their starting point guard as Rojas makes 1 of 2 to make it 17-8. Vanderpool was honorable mention All Hudson County American Division last year on a 10-14 squad, and he played with the team throughout the Hamilton Park Summer League all summer. They got about 25 games in as Saidi misses the jumper from the foul line. So that really pulls out the rug from a program that goes through the summer as Mark Stroback will spend the timeout. Up 17-8. And that really pulls out the rug from you as a program because you invested so much time. 25 games in over at the Hamilton Park Summer League under now second-year coach Mark Stroback, and he was the JV coach back in 2024. So most of these seniors he had coached then. So there's a great relationship that has been able to be built up. Meanwhile, Fort Lee trying to keep pace. They were outscored big in the second half here on Sunday by Passaic. They were outscored 41-20 by Passaic on Sunday here on their home floor. They have to battle for 7th place today. Schween again. Tough jumper for Josue Schween. That's off the glass, and he has 4, and it's 19-8 Memorial. Greenberg. And Fort Lee still not just not getting the roll. They're getting decent looks with the rebound brought in by Almanzar. Manuel Almanzar to the basket. Is Doro. And a foul on the floor against the Bridgemen will be team foul number 4. And Motassim Al-Hajayi will pick up his second. That's 4 team fouls. Memorial has made 3 first-half threes. Isidoro. And as Al-Hajayi was trying to draw the charge, instead he picks up the block, and that's number 3 on the starting center for the Bridgemen. So Josh Ford already with Elia with 2. And Sean Isidro back to the free throw line. So back comes Elia playing with 2, and Al-Hajayi will sit. Isidro, 3 years in the varsity, a 2-year starter. Last year was a starter as a forward or a center as a big. This year they want him to handle a little bit more as a guard to help out. He gets both, and it's 21-8, largest lead for Memorial. Gegich Corey, and that pass is between players. They'll say deflected. Also, Memorial has brought in senior backup guard Marzik Principe for the first time. 13 in white. And now might be a switch to a man-to-man now for Memorial, as Greenberg is on the drive, and he will get to the free throw line. That's Christian Rojas picking up his first. So Jacob Greenberg to shoot 2. And off on the first. Jacob last year honorable mention All Big North American Division, along with Jake Ehrlich. 2 missed free throws. Elia had it, then is stripped. Schween has handled pressure well. Almanzar. And rebound, it's going to be last touched by Rojas. Now back to a zone look, and there's a travel on Gegich Corey as he shuffled the feet before dribbling to try to attack a gap. Memorial has controlled the pace of this game. They've also limited their turnovers. They have not given up anything on the other end off of turnovers. As Schween. Principe on his swing pass, that's batted back. Isidro, and using his length, misses that runner. And Gegich Corey, the tough rebound. Avazoglu, as that's knocked out of his hands by Marzik Principe. And Fort Lee trying to find a little bit of a burst, but the changing defenses of Memorial have kept their shooters a little bit out of rhythm in terms of catches, and then Fort Lee has just left a lot of points at the rim. They've probably blown about 4 chippies in this first half that would make the score a lot different. Gegich Corey, Ehrlich. Gegich Corey to the high post. Elia. Ehrlich. Feet set, but a good contest. And Fort Lee trying to save it. Again, another good defensive stand by the Memorial Tigers. Schween against the Fort Lee 1-2-2 pressure. Almanzar, and then a timeout will be taken by Memorial. And Coach Mark Schroback here to talk it over. So Mark Schroback playing out of Hasbrook Heights High School and over at William Patterson, was an all-league selection, graduating in 2006 from Hasbrook Heights, averaging 15 points, 5 assists, and being a three-sport athlete there. His younger brother, Mike Schroback, played for Greg Horrenda at FDU as a walk-on at the Division I level in Teaneck. Mike Schroback finishing up his career in 2018. And he also starred at Hasbrook Heights, 2014 All-Bergen County third-team honors, and was the second all-time leading scorer in program history, about 1,400 points a game. And then another older brother, Rob, played soccer at LIU Brooklyn under Coach TJ Kostecki at LIU Brooklyn. And all following in the footsteps of Dad, Mark Sr. Dad Mark played basketball at St. Peter's and would also play tennis in the springtime as a Division I basketball player. That's something that you will not hear about ever again. And later, Dad went on to be an educator and went on to be a varsity tennis coach, too. Final 40 seconds, first half. Memorial so far has led the whole way. As Rojas holds, they look for Schween. Here's Manuel Almanzar. Schween with 10 seconds, so Memorial content to take the final shot. Schween is Doro. Got the path to the rim, missed it on the follow. Rojas will get that to go before the horn. Christian Rojas on the offensive glass completes what was a wonderful first half for the Memorial Tigers. And they lead it at the break 23-8 on the road at Fort Lee. Memorial looking for their first win of the season. A couple of early threes by Lennox Rodriguez at the high man with 6. Eric Tirado in foul trouble. He has 5 to lead Memorial. It's halftime at Fort Lee High School. I'll be back in 10 minutes on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. Start of the second half from Fort Lee High School, the home of the Bridgemen. Welcome back here to the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. Ralph Bednarchik on hand, bringing you the 7th place game from the annual Jack Riley Holiday Tournament in Fort Lee. Halftime score, the Memorial Tigers seeking their first win of the year. They're 0-6. They lead Fort Lee on the road 23-8 at the break. Fort Lee held to just one field goal in that second quarter. The zone of Memorial, the 2-3 zone of Memorial, has given Fort Lee some trouble, as well as the Bridgemen missing numerous chippies at the rim. Probably about 5 high percentage field goals that they've missed at the rim that also accounts to the score. Meanwhile, Memorial's knocked down 3 threes. Lennox Rodriguez, the high man, with 6. Eric Tirado has 5, including a 3. Josue Schween running the point has 4. Sean Isidro has 3. And for Fort Lee, 3s from Motassim Al-Hajayi and John Avazoglu. Inside, Mark Elia, who had foul trouble, misses that shot. And then we get a foul on Memorial here. That's Anthony Lopez. No, check that though. That's Josue Schween picking up number 1. Ehrlich, quick catch and shoot, and that's the shot that's got to go down for the Bridgemen. Smart idea by Avazoglu to tip it out, but just out of reach of Jake Ehrlich. But Ehrlich is scoreless, so is Jacob Greenberg, and 2 established players and returners for Fort Lee. And then Memorial has handled the Fort Lee press very well. Feet set for 3 for Tirado. And I think they're going to get, I thought they might get a travel called. And instead, a foul is on Motassim Al-Hajayi, and that is his 4th. So a big problem for Bridgeman coach Josh Ford. Now to lose the guy that guards the 5. Inside, Isidro misses, got it back, and another whistle and a Fort Lee foul. Remember, the Bridgemen, again, just 7 players dressed today. And a 3rd trip to the free throw line for Sean Isidro. And Isidro's already made now 4 free throws. Well, starting with Memorial coach Mark Stroback, what his thoughts were. I think he continues to want to see good ball movement. As Isidro makes both, and movement without the ball against Fort Lee defensively. And attack the pressure at times and not allow the pressure to dictate. There's a turnover. Pass away from Greenberg. Righty layup missed. Lennox Rodriguez tip is off, and Fort Lee escapes that. And I think he'd like to see his team attack the Fort Lee pressure a little bit better and get something on the back end. Avazoglu with a big 3. His 2nd. And Fort Lee able to make Memorial pay for their pressure on the back end. Then I think if you're Josh Ford, can they find a way to come up with some transition looks? Isidro is off. And can they run a little bit? Like, here's an opportunity, but they could not save it here. Elias pass too far ahead for Avazoglu. And when you're struggling, getting out and running and getting easy baskets is the first place you can start. And Memorial again, able to navigate through the Fort Lee press beautifully. Isidro and the foul. He is a natural lefty, and Sean Isidro now the high man with 7. And Jake Ehrlich picks up his 1st. And Isidro another trip to the free throw line. Offensive rebound. Lopez on the follow. Saving it was Isidro right to a teammate. The layup does not go for Schween. And Fort Lee escapes that. It's a 16-point lead for the Tigers, their largest of the afternoon. Avazoglu, he'll try the 2 and get the knockdown. John Avazoglu now a couple of buckets here in the third quarter. And Memorial very patiently breaking that press. Jrht, he'll try the 3. And Anthony Lopez has the rebound if that's Ilya. And it will be Mark Ilya picking up his 3rd. Josh Ford pleading his case for the box out. Jrht. Rodriguez, he forced that up. And then we'll get a foul, and that'll be a frustrated Lennox Rodriguez picking up number 3. So he'll exit for Manuel Almanzar. Now a pass to the wing. Jrht bats it ahead. Almanzar to the rim, lays it in. First time Memorial's been able to turn over and convert using their pressure. And the lead back to 16. Avazoglu, and he is now starting to feel it. That was his toughest jumper yet. 10 points for sophomore John Avazoglu in his first year on the varsity. Made the varsity football team this year too. And someone that can be streaky and heat up. His nice pass down low. Almanzar finds Jrht for the conversion. And Fort Lee has not been able to attack the Memorial press yet. Ilya. Midway through the third, Fort Lee has already looked a lot better than they did in the entire first half offensively. Schween looks opposite corner. Lopez snatches in a nice rebound. Well, he's long, athletic, and lanky, and that's what Coach Mark Schroback is hoping to invest with his young sophomore big that could have a real payoff this year. No-look feed, layup is converted. That's Schween with a nice pass. Getting it from Jrht. And now the steal by Almanzar. Largest lead now for Memorial. Almanzar, left-hand jump hook, continues it. 20-point lead on the road for Memorial Tigers, who come in 0-6. They've let a couple get away from them as Jacob Greenberg right back gets a quick 2 for his first field goal. 2 games where they had the lead going into the fourth quarter at North Bergen and Snyder of Jersey City. And a travel is called against Almanzar as Fort Lee tries to increase the pace. They end up losing by 9 at Snyder and by 2 at North Bergen in game 2. Memorial so far has only played 1 home game. That was against a good program. They lost by 12 to Bayonne. But in January, their schedule gets a lot more favorable. Greenberg hops through, and altering the shot was Almanzar. And Ilya will get a pair of free throws. Foul is on Sean Isidro, picking up number 2. Mark Ilya in his second year in the varsity, first-year starter, and worked big on his body over the summer to come back for his junior year. but still has not been able to get shots to go down today. Last touch, though, on the miss by Memorial. And Ilya still without a field goal and just missed a pair of free throws. Evazoglu. Offensive rebound, Saidi. Gegich slips in Ilya, and the best zone offense we've seen from Fort Lee. First basket for Mark Ilya. And we'll have a timeout taken by Memorial just as they worked their way into the coffin corner here with 1:58 remaining here, third quarter. 35-19. Other games you'll be able to see here on demand on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel here from the Jack Riley Holiday Tournament. North Bergen and Bergenfield. Passaic versus Wayne Valley. Old Tappan versus Randolph in the championship game. Passaic versus Wayne Valley is for third. North Bergen and Bergenfield is for fifth. This game is for seventh place between Fort Lee and Memorial. And you'll be able to watch them archived, and all four of them here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. And brought to you by all of our sponsors that you see listed there. Memorial out of the timeout. As Jrht looked backside, and active hands with the deflection. Isidro fired up a line drive, and we'll have a foul, the rebounding action as Lopez was taken down. And Jacob Greenberg picking up his second. They're going to call that shooting for Anthony Lopez. I thought Lopez was more pursuing the rebound rather than being in any position to actually shoot, as Lopez misses the first. Lopez still very raw, but they want him to gain a ton of experience to accelerate his learning. He makes one of two. Memorial is led by as many as 20 at 35-15. Gegich finds the cutting Ilya, attacks the basket. Couple of buckets for Mark Ilya. It's a 15-point game for the final minute of the third. Again, the Tigers handling the press very well. 1-2-2 trap, but Evazoglu will pick up his first foul. Problem now for Fort Lee is they may have to back off of it while trailing, as they're up to 5 team fouls here with 1:03 left, so a couple more possessions. But now they're over the limit, as Jose Schween will knock down the first. Senior that was a shooting guard last year, becoming the starter, just really tough. And they want to see great leadership from him, a hard-nosed point guard. 1 of 2 for Schween. And that's last touch by Jacob Greenberg out of bounds. 1:01 left. Christian Rojas back down from Memorial. And we'll see if the Tigers might hold for the final shot here. Up by 16. They led by 15 at the brink. Fort Lee has stayed in their man-to-man against a tough defender in Andrew Gegich-Corey. And Schween on this smaller high school floor. Gegich-Corey remaining close enough to avoid the 5 count. Isdoro, nearly a knockaway by Gegich-Corey. Schween locates Tirado, and a double dribble. That's the right call by our official. Tirado got caught kind of in between whether or not to go to a floater or not. Instead, it ends up as a turnover. Fort Lee for the last shot of the third. They've trailed the entire afternoon. Gegich-Corey, he'll try it, and a deep one with the horn sounding, and it's off. 37-21. Fort Lee was able to knock down some early shots. Memorial did not get hot from 3. However, Memorial able to make their free throws, and they've increased the lead now to 16 after leading by as many as 20. As we head to the fourth, 37-21 from the Riley Holiday Memorial Tournament at Fort Lee High School. Underway in the fourth quarter, and an immediate 3 is knocked down. So Fort Lee able to cut it to 13. And now a carry is called. So Fort Lee with a little bit of momentum. And now the strip. A great blitz on the ball handle, but the layup missed by Tirado. The follow is put up. I think that's Lopez. Evazoglu gives it up. Matassim Al-Hajayi playing with 4 fouls, and he turns it over. Josue Schween gives it up. Lopez, wave it off, offensive foul. Third on Anthony Lopez. Then that feed forced to the high post, deflected by Tirado. So consecutive turnovers by the Bridgemen. Isidro, and he is fouled. Sean Isidro is kind of a perfect high post player to play the 4 against the zone. Being a lefty, capable ball handler, capable shooter, size and strength, where you can play through him and allow him to make decisions. He, along with Eric Tirado, the high man with 7 to lead the Memorial Tigers from West New York. And Isidro up to 8. Memorial at 16 with the lead led by 20. Avazoglu, and he remains hot. 13 for John Avazoglu with his 3rd made 3. And now Avazoglu jumps and intercepts. Elia to the rim, gets that to go. And here comes a Fort Lee run. They've cut it to 11. Timeout is taken by Memorial. 2 minutes into the 4th quarter, and the Bridgemen here just with some life. That's all they needed. They needed a little bit of a spark. And now the Tigers, who have been here before, this is the 3rd time this season where they've led a game going into the 4th quarter. The first 2 at North Bergen and at Snyder, they lost. And they're looking for their first win. Fort Lee at 2-2, who would hate to go 0-3 on their home floor in their own holiday tournament. And Josh Ford and his team coming in, having lost 5 of their top 9 players from a year ago. And returning just 2 starters. Graduating 6'5" center Guy Vickers, who has just committed to play football at Division II Assumption. He's doing a post-grad year this year at St. Thomas More in Connecticut. Also seeing Christian Bruton in attendance here. Christian bypassing basketball his senior year. He's running track with a goal to run track in college. Among the players that were lost, and also Jacob Greenberg's older brother Max, who is here in attendance as well. And he was a 2-year starting point guard. Isidro gave it up. Josue Schween. And it'll be a foul in the rebounding action against Memorial. That's the 4th on Anthony Lopez. Al-Hajayi missed a good runner. Got it back and lays it in. Mutassim Al-Hajayi. He has 5. It's a single-digit game. And still plenty of time remaining. Rodriguez has been out of rhythm after picking up a couple of early fouls after nailing 2 very early threes. Isidro, Rodriguez, open 3. And Saidi able to rebound. Avazoglu begging forward. Feet set for 3. Timeout Memorial. John Avazoglu a yard behind the arc. It's a 6-point game at Fort Lee. Timeout taken by the Tigers. So Fort Lee just able to get a little bit of momentum, and that's all it's taken. Avazoglu was the lone player that was hitting shots before this run began. And now Memorial will have to come out and have to execute in another close game and get over the hump. And meanwhile for Fort Lee, they have now made it just a 2-possession game with plenty of time left, so they could start to settle in and not have to play as frenetic. Fort Lee will pick up full court. Schween is Sidro, and he is fouled. Foul on Abdullah Saidi of the Bridgemen. Just the second team foul. Sean Isidro, this is his 5th trip to the free throw line. And it'll be an over-the-back call after the missed free throw on Christian Rojas. Ilya works the baseline, got stuck and still able to score from the angle. 4-point game at Fort Lee. Bridgemen have climbed out of a 20-point hole. Torado was stuck. Isidro to the backside. Rojas converts. 5 points off the bench for Memorial's Christian Rojas. And again, getting into the fulcrum there, and Sean Isidro against the pressure. Ilya remains the high post against the zone. Evazoglu missed that runner. Quality look there on the drive. It's a 15-5 run by Fort Lee to open up this 4th quarter, now with only 3 minutes to go. Gegetscory, he got a deflection, and only off of Gegetscory. So Jacob Greenberg back in. Schween looks opposite, and stepping back, nailing a huge 3 is Eric Torado. 10 for Torado. Trying to match that, Al-Hajai is off. So the Memorial lead back to 9, nearing 2 minutes to go. What a big shot that was for Eric Torado. Remember, no shot clock in the state of New Jersey. So unfortunately, in these situations, you will see teams play keep away for a full 2 minutes. Isidro into Rojas. Isidro got the rebound back and puts it in. 10 for Isidro. He is likely around a double-double. And Memorial has now calmed things down, as now that pass stolen by Rojas. As we have a Isidro that is shaken up. And Fort Lee athletic trainer Tommy Herr will have a look at the finger of Sean Isidro. And now on the inbound, that's Jose Schween. That is tripped up. Team foul number 3. So with 1:42 left, Memorial has re-expanded the lead to 11. Fort Lee had cut it to 40-36. And we'll get another foul on Greenberg trying to go for the tie-up. Since then, a 4-0 run, highlighted by the Eric Torado 3 for Memorial. Rodriguez, and we'll get the timeout here taken by Memorial here with 1:27 remaining. Should be a 1-minute timeout. We'll do the same on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. Out of the timeout, and Fort Lee trying to turn over Josue Schween. And another foul applied, sets team foul number 5, and free throws coming for Memorial. And Jacob Greenberg has just fouled out, applying his 5th. So Jacob finishes with just 2 points. And so Josue Schween with 7 points, but he's been very steady in terms of handling pressure of Fort Lee's. Decision-making has been good. And he is someone that, if Memorial was able to knock down a greater percentage of shots, could have something like 8 assists in this game, as he has set up his teammates in the corners well. He makes the first, he has 8. Schween up to 9, and the lead is 13. A 9-0 run by Memorial, trying to close this out on the road. Elia. Rebound volleys around, Jake Ehrlich. Avazoglu. That doesn't go. Rojas, an athletic rebound in traffic. And the Tigers lead pass ahead. They'll go for the lay-in from Christian Rojas. Rojas with 7. And Memorial has gotten something from their bench today in what will be a very satisfying victory. A 3 from Al-Hajayi out of the corner for Fort Lee. And that finally ends the run, an 11-0 run. That will help decide this one as Avazoglu commits the foul on Lennox Rodriguez. Meanwhile, for Fort Lee, they'll fall to 2-3, and they will open up 2026 with a game against Passaic Valley. And then against Dumont on January 6th. 1 of 2 for Lennox Rodriguez. Al-Hajayi tried the 3. Rebound Tirado, and another Fort Lee foul with 29.4 left. Fort Lee will start the new year with 3 straight home games against Passaic Valley, Dumont, and Dwight Morrow in a 5-day span. While Memorial will start the new year at Hoboken, and then the 5th and 6th against Ferris and Union City. As Eric Tirado makes the first. $12 for Tirado to lead the Tigers. The 54 points matches the season high achieved by Memorial so far in the season, and it'll come in their first win. Jake Ehrlich cannot get that to fall. Long rebound, Eric Tirado. With 12 seconds, Memorial can dribble this clock out. Well, they came out able to shoot some early jumpers. Lennox Rodriguez, 2 early threes. Jrht had a 3. And Memorial is going to end up leading wire to wire for the full 32 minutes today on the road to pick up their first win of the year. They do it at Fort Lee. 54-39 is our final score. An 11-0 run late in the fourth quarter to separate leads the way. 12 for Tirado, 10 for Isidro, 9 for Josue Schween running the point, 7 for Rojas off the bench. Lennox Rodriguez also with 7. Bridgman were led in scoring by John Avazoglu's 16 points, a game high, along with 4 made threes, 10 from Mark Elia, 8 in the second half, and 8 from Mutassim Al-Hajayi. As Fort Lee falls to 2-3, Memorial now 1-6. Great thanks to our sponsors for helping make this broadcast possible. The Fort Lee PBA, Cafasos Fairway Market, the finest construction, Fort Lee Soccer Club, Rusin and Doro Electric, Bridgman Basketball Camps, Fort Lee VFW, Visions Federal Credit Union, It's Greek to Me Restaurant, Connect One Bank, Bergen Black Sox, Senator Builders, UCS Strength and Speed, the Collective Salon, and the Fort Lee Education Association. Thank you to all. We say so long, goodbye, and wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year from Fort Lee Athletics.